Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to talk about the trait theories in personality psychology. These theories try to answer a simple but powerful question, which is why do people behave the way they do and how can we measure this behavior? And I'm going to break with you guys the 5 trait theories, which include Catill's 16 factors, Eysenck's 3-dimension, and the Big Five, and Zuckerman's biological models, and Kolninger. We'll break them all down clearly and simply and in order. So grab a notebook, because at the end you will have a deep understanding of how psychologists define the building blocks of personality. Let's dive in. Cattell believed that the personality can be measured scientifically, and the best way to measure it is to identify the basic traits that make up every person. To do this, he started with a massive list of words, which is 18,000 English words, that describe the personality traits and also describe human behavior. Using factor analysis, he grouped this into 16 basic source traits, which he believed were the core building blocks of personality. So I'm gonna give you some examples from the 16 factor traits that he chose. So first one, for example, warmth vs coolness. It's like how friendly you are with other people. Second, reasoning. It's how your abstract thinking ability you have. Third is emotional stability, how reactive and calm you are. Like if you are very calm, the emotional stability is high with you. But if you're very reactive, you have low emotional stability. Fourth is dominance, which is how assertive and forceful you are. Fifth is liveliness, which is how spontaneous and cheerful you are. And also sensitivity, which is how sensitive and empathetic you are around people. Also social boldness, which is how confident you are with people. The last one in the examples is perfectionism, which is how organized and precise you are. Cattell believed that everyone has his own unique combination from these traits. He even developed a psychological test called BF16, which is used in some areas of psychological assessment today. However, this theory was criticized for being too complex, so later psychologists simplified it more, leading us to our next theory, which was by Hans Eysenck's 3 dimensions of personality. And the next step came from Hans Eysenck, which he believed that we can identify traits of the personality and simplify it in few core dimensions, which all rooted in biology. And he proposed 3 major dimensions. The first one is extroversion, the second one is neuroticism, and the third one is psychoticism. I'm going to explain them one by one. So extroversion is about how outgoing and sociable and energetic the person is. And second one is neuroticism, which is based on how emotionally stable or unstable you are. So if you are very reactive, you're basically emotionally unstable. Or if you are very calm and do not react easily to situations, you have high level of emotional stability. Psychotism, it's more about the creative part in the personality and the impulsive part, also sometimes aggression and non-conformity. Eysenck also suggested that these traits have a biological foundation, which means, for example, extroverted people have lower cortical arousal, which means that they seek stimulation from the environment more, while introverts, on the other hand, they have higher internal stimulation, so they prefer calm environments. Similarly, also in neuroticism, not only extroversion. So high neuroticism is linked to more reactive limbic system, which is the emotional center of the brain. Eysenck's model was simple and elegant and measurable, but some argued that it was so simple and wasn't enough for explaining the complexity of human behavior or human traits, which comes the next model and the next major model, which is the Big Five. If you have ever taken a personality online test, you have probably seen this one because it's the most common test right now for testing personality traits or seeing which type of personality you are. The Big Five, also known as the five-factor model, it is currently the most widely accepted assessment for personality traits. It organizes personality into five broad dimensions. It's remembered by the acronym OCEAN, which is OCEAN. Okay, so it has five dimensions. The first one is openness to experience, which explains the curiosity and the creativity and the willingness to try new things of the person. So high openness people usually means imaginative person, artistic. Low openness people means practical and realistic and would stick with the routine more than doing something new, trying a lot of new things in their lives. Okay, this is first. Second, consciousness. Consciousness is about the organization, reliability, and discipline. So if you have high consciousness, these people are structured and goal driven. But if you have low ones, it's gonna be more spontaneous or careless. Okay. Third one is extroversion. Extroversion, that we talked about it already in the last two theories, that's related to sociability and assertiveness and positive emotions. So if you are high in it, you are very extroverted, and if you are low in it, you are very introverted. Similar to Eysenck's dimension, high extroverts thrive in social situation and low extroverts prefer solitude. Okay, and the fourth one is agreeableness. Agreeableness, it's about kindness and empathy and cooperativeness. So if you score high in agreeableness, you will be more kind to people, compassionate about them, and there's gonna be high level of trust. But if you score low in agreeableness, you're gonna be more competitive or skeptical. So this is for agreeableness. The last one is neuroticism. We talked about it also in the last theory. It talks about the emotional stability of the person and the vulnerability to stress, how much he is or she is reactive to situations. So high neuroticism means that you are more reactive and anxious and moody, but low neuroticism means that you are more calm and resilient and stable. So yeah, this is the Big Five model. It's powerful, I know, because it's across culturally consistent and supported by a huge body of research. So it's also used in everything, like for psychological research, this test is used. For career planning and counseling, it's used. For dating apps, it's used. So basically, this is one of the most popular tests for personality traits. So Klongert believed that personality is contained of two main components. The first one is temperament, which is biologically inherited in our personality, and it shows in the early life, and it also influenced by the neurotransmitters. The second one is character, which is our learned part of our personality. It depends on the environment, like our culture and the experiences that we had in our lives and our values. So this is the two main components that he believed that contain the personality: temperament and character, biology and environment. And this theory is one of the first theories to connect between psychology and brain chemistry. So let's start with temperament, because this is where biology comes in. So Klongert identified 4 traits of temperament which are associated with brain chemicals. The first one is novelty seeking, which is linked to dopamine, and this is the neurotransmitters that regulate motivation and reward. People that score high in novelty seeking, they usually seek excitement and adventure, and they usually take this dopamine buzz from the new experiences and things that they usually do. The second trait is harm avoidance, which is linked to serotonin, which regulates mood and anxiety. Usually, high harm avoidance people tend to be cautious and anxious and avoid risk, because their serotonin system makes them more sensitive to punishment or uncertainty. The third trait is reward dependence, which is linked to norepinephrine. And this people is usually high in the trait of warmth, sociability, and they are usually motivated by social approval and affection because their brain respond strongly to positive reinforcement. So before I go to the fourth trait, I want to summarize something. Dopamine makes us chase rewards, and serotonin makes us avoid danger, and norepinephrine helps us maintain attention and emotional memory and social bond. The fourth trait is persistence, and this is about the people that can keep going after things getting tough and can be motivated despite the frustration and the fatigue. So they usually have also, this is also linked to dopamine and effort circuits in the brain. And usually these brain areas helps us evaluate effort, sustain motivation, resist giving up when facing long-term goals. So people that have high persistence, they usually have shown in this areas circuits in the brain, they usually have a strong activation in these areas. They are determined, consistent, and resistant to discouragement. So after finishing the four traits for the temperament, which is the biology part that he talked about, they were novelty seeking, harm avoidance, reward dependence, and persistence. We have also four other traits for character, which is the first one is self-directedness. This is how responsible and goal-oriented you are. The second one for the character is cooperativeness. This is how empathetic and compassionate you are with other people. And the third one is self-transcendence. This is how connected you are spiritually, or how connected or how do you feel about something greater than you, like nature or God or the universe. Klonger's model is called psychobiological. It's because it shows the biology part and the psychology part at the same time. How can the personality be affected by the environment and by its biology and genes at the same time? Last but not least, the theory that was called Alternative 5 by Zuckerman. Finally, let's take a look at Marvin Zuckerman, who took the biological approach even farther with his 5 alternative model of personality. Zuckerman was interested in why some people usually seek stimulation and excitement and adventure, while other people would prefer calm and stability. So he was interested and curious about this. Through his research on sensory deprivation and arousal, he discovered that these differences come from the individual variations in the brain systems, which is the same system that control alertness and emotional intensity. He identified 5 main personality dimensions, and each one is related to biology. And the first one is sociability, which is how much stimulation you enjoy from social contact. Which is people high in sociability have brain system that thrives on external interaction and reward cues. And the second one is neuroticism and anxiety, which is how much your nervous system become stressed easily by stress, or your nervous system become aroused easily by stress. Also, high scores in neuroticism have more reactivity in their limbic system, meaning they experience stronger emotional response. And the third one is impulsive sensation seeking, which is linked to dopamine. And this is the same chemical that also linked with pleasure and reward. So when there are some people that high in this sensation seeking, they usually need more intense experience to feel excitement. So they are usually drawn to adventure, risk-taking behavior, or fast-paced lifestyle. The fourth one is aggression and hostility. This is usually associated with low serotonin. And also, this also leads to irritability and impulsive anger. The fifth and the last one is activity, which is the overall energy level and the base of the behavior. And this is usually related to the arousal in the reticular activating system in the brainstem, the system that keeps us awake and alert. Zuckerman's model shows that our personality differences are deeply tied to the biological arousal system in our brain, how sensitive we are to stimulation and threat and pleasure. In simple terms, some people's brains are wired to seek thrills and novelty, other brains prefer calm and predictability. It's not just a habit, it's how their nervous system are built. So now we can see a full spectrum of how trait theories evolved, from Cattell's detailed 16 factor to Ising's biological 3 to the Big Five's broad structure to Klunker's link with the brain chemistry, and last but not least, Zuckerman's focus on arousal and stimulation systems. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.